are back for a brand new week. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Hey. Good.
That's good. We do have once again, a jam-packed week, which always makes for the best live cast. And so we're going to jump right into it. You know, last week, guys, we started off the week. We done got, they gone. Like, they gone. They gone. So last week, while we get everything together, we came to you and talked about President Biden's first 100 days in office. In that time frame, there has been a huge amount of national sentiment and commentary given. Not only did President Biden give an address to Congress, a scaled back, modified version of Congress, but he also had a number of African-American leaders not only respond to him, but also come out in that time frame. One of those Black leaders is this gentleman right here, Dr. Umar Johnson, who went on the Breakfast Club and had a lot to say about what President Biden has not done for the Black community. He made a lot of commentary and statements about what President Biden has done for the Asian American Pacific Islander community, for the trans community, although he, I guess, is assuming that there are no trans Black people, and says that he has done nothing for the Black community. Gentlemen, I want to know your thoughts on what Dr. Umar Johnson said about President Biden's lack of work for the Black community, and just in general, what you think about what President Biden has or has not done for the Black community. The floor is open.
I guess I'll start really quickly. I'll just go. Vince said something last week that kind of made me sit back on it a little bit. I had to think about it for a moment. And I didn't realize that I kind of felt some of that sentiments, which was, at one point in time, I'm not going to lie to you, I realized I too felt a little salty, just a little bit about kind of some of the things that went forth of other people. Like there were legislation that kind of went forth, and there were bills that kind of passed that was pushing, Asian Americans and so forth. So I'm going to lie to you, was some kind of things that kind of made me feel a little touchy that we work, a lot of things we've been fighting, and a lot of things that we were pushed to the forefront. But on the flip side of that, one of the things that I want to reemphasize is the fact that this man, yes, he can walk and chew gum at the same time, but he can't do everything in 100 days. He just can't do everything in 100 days. And so the fact that he did use his power to make sure he used his executive power to put certain things in place that he could do by the bounds of the law. And then he said, guess what, Congress, now it's on you. So I still do believe that he did his part that he could do, and then said, listen, you do. Now, I also do feel, though, that again, I've said this time and time again, I was this mindset of we need to make sure that we do try to find some common ground. But I'm at this point that, listen, we only have a couple of months left before we potentially lose both the House and the Senate. Now, I pray that's not the case, but while we have the ability to do so, we should just ram everything we can through at this point. Everything that we can do, every legislation that we can run, we don't got time for the bipartisanship. At this point, Democrats, whatever you can do through reconciliation and have the ability to do, just push it through. At this point, I don't need Republicans. I just need us to do as much as we can while we have it, because we may not have the chance after 2022.
So, I'm Dr. Pickett. I'm going to have to push back just a little bit on this part, right? Because I think what you said is exactly what a number of Black people in America feel. But here's the reality. How many people out here has done their due diligence to look at why would the Asian American Pacific Islander bill pass, but the George Floyd Policing Act not pass? The difference is this. 50 Democrats were ready to roll and vote for changes to policing in the George Floyd bill, but not one single Republican. That was not the case with the AAPI bill. Mitch McConnell's wife is Asian. Not only is she Asian, but there's a heavily vested, they're heavily vested in the Asian American Pacific Islander community, and they get funding from a number of those individuals. That is one huge difference. We have to realize how these politics work. In addition, what can President Biden actually do that he has not already done through executive order? That also confuses me when Black people criticize what Biden has and has not done. What can he do? He is the president. It's an executive branch position. He does not legislate as the executive branch leader. He does not make laws. What he does is use his bully pulpit and his soapbox to advance certain positions, and he has done that. We finally have a president who stood up and talked about racism in America when Donald Trump said repeatedly that it didn't even exist and it wasn't an issue. We have a president who said on national television that he is going to put trans rights at the forefront and that they have a friend in the White House. President Biden is doing and saying things that we have not had a president say in a very long time. Actually, he's saying some things that we've never actually had a president say. And I'm ready to criticize the man. I am ready to tear down anything that is not ready to roll, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm ready to boycott Joe Biden. But guess what? To me, nothing has happened that says he is worthy of that type of boycott. And so Candy said, who introduced the bill? It was, I can't tell you the young lady's name, but she is a member of this community. And so, again, that's my take on it. And I feel as though a number of people who are talking, like Dr. Umar Johnson, they have their own personal brand that they're trying to build, and they're trying to simply pander to their audience on places like, Twitter, that keeps them in business and keeps money rolling into their pockets.
Yeah, Zach, I definitely, I see both sides with what you just said and presented, as well as what DeAndre just said. I think that your position is factual and it's commendable, but I think that the average person isn't thinking like that. The average Black person, unfortunately, isn't thinking like that. They are literally just looking at it how it is, right? The AAPI bill got pushed immediately, like the political theater and stuff like that. No, they just want to know. Y'all keep saying that the backbone of the Democratic Party is the Black people. We need Black women. We need Black men. Black folks save Georgia. Black folks save the presidency. The Democrats come out every 4 years, every 2 years when it's time to, shake up the scene, and the Black people got to pull through. And so I feel like as a Black person, if we are so essential and so critical to this party, regardless of whatever position you are in, why does it seem like there is we know why there is, of course, some pushback from it because the GOP or what have you, but I just feel like there could have been just some more urgency behind some agendas, our own agenda, if you will. And to be honest, I feel that what's happening right now, and hopefully this will segue into the Kamala Harris comment as well as Tim Scott, if you will, that it sort of gives Diddy validity with his point when he was like, I want to start an all-Black party. Because at the end of the day, I'm just saying at the end of the day, if Kamala is saying that America is not racist, and then the Biden-Harris administration seems a little like they're pacing to get the Black agenda some moments pushed or highlighted or broadcasted, then like DeAndre said, in about 2 to 4 years, like Black folk gonna be side-eyeing. And a lot of us already ain't gonna be voting on the other side. So it's like,
but I'm just tell me this. Here's the thing.
Hold on.
What is the Black agenda? What do we want?
Real quick. I'm just saying at the end of the day, as the normal person that is not as invested into the political conversation of it all, like you are, Zach, just a normal person down the street in Clayco and Jonesboro that y'all drag me out my house to vote. When I'm looking at these things, when I'm looking for this policing act to be pushed, when I'm looking at whatever everybody's saying that COVID affects us, everything affects Black people in disproportional rates. Okay, all these topics that affect Black people in disproportional rates, what are those things to ascend us and push us in a better future or what have you? So I just think Black people are just looking at it like that and they side-eyeing it.
This is my question. Now, this is the real issue. And I get what you're saying, Vince, and I agree with you. That's exactly how people are looking at it. We have a responsibility to educate our own, and that's the whole point of Five Guys on Live, is to have these kind of conversations and flesh these issues out and really discuss it. But this is the real issue. When we talk about the Black agenda, what is the agenda? Now, some people will say that the majority of Black Americans are really in favor of the policing reform bills that's being pushed and being advocated. But to be honest with you, you have one group that says defund the police. You have one group that says abolish the police. But then you have a whole nother group that really might be the majority who's looking at crime rates in Atlanta skyrocket. We've had more homicides this year than we've had in the last 5 years, and saying that may not be the way to go. So you get what I'm saying? It's every single Black person who has a platform is out here saying and talking about the Black agenda. But the reality is, do we really have an agenda? And then we're looking at people like Dr. Umar Johnson to give us guidance instead of looking at people that have actual credible degrees and actual credible reputations where they've earned that by doing work in the community. We have people that have put in the work. And from what I understand, someone like Dr. Umar Johnson has put in the work of raising money for an all-boys school that never opened. So it makes me say, who are we listening to, and where is our agenda really going to come from?
Well, I think the first item on our agenda is to stop being killed by the police. And I think that's why it's so hard for a bill to be passed that's saying, no mass killings of Black people, because we know that the number one institution that would affect is the police institution in the United States of America. And so last week, I think I was quick to say that Black people need to chill out and give him some time to, get everyone information. But I do see the sense of urgency. I don't think that we should discount or discredit Black people who are saying that there needs to be a push for more things to be done. But I think that it definitely came from the wrong messenger. And I do agree with you, Zach, that he does have an agenda personally that he was there to push. And so, I'm definitely not. Like I said last week, my ears kind of stop working when homophobes start speaking. And
he's a misogynist as well.
And a misogynist. But everything he said wasn't invalid.
Everything that he said may not be invalid. His life isn't invalid, but to me, his opinion is. Now, I'm going to say this, when you talk about the spokesperson, to some Black people, this is the spokesperson for the Black community. This, of course, is Senator Tim Scott. He was chosen by the Republicans to give the rebuttal to President Biden's first 100 days address. Vince, you mentioned him. I forgot who really in regards to Senator Tim Scott. Gentlemen, what were your thoughts on this? He did say that America was not racist, although he cited several racist incidents that he experienced. We are going to talk about Vice President Harris and her saying the exact same thing, as well as President Biden saying the exact same thing, and the difference, in my opinion, of those two things. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina?
It's a lot. I do think that as an institution, America is a very racist place, and you don't have to be Black to see and to know what is going on in the lives of Black people in this United States of America, in these United States of America. And so I thought that the comment was a little inflammatory, and it was used to I guess, discredit Black people in our experience. And so that's why the pasty Republicans would choose a Black person to deliver this message. However, I do feel like President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris had an opportunity to take a stance and say that while all Americans might not be racist, that does not mean that systemic oppression and racism is not the foundation of the United States, and that it still ravages our community to this day. I think that they tiptoed around it. I think Vice President Harris made a comment about not being able to ignore the history. But what about the things that are happening right now that continue to disenfranchise Black people and Black communities all over the nation? And so I thought that they missed the mark with their response to Tim Scott's rebuttal. However, I know that they're politicians and they're doing what politicians do.
Not only did they miss the mark, Darius, but we have to hold everybody's foot to the fire. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. When you speak out of pocket and you're not speaking you're speaking a language that still is divisive, even in the Black community. I don't care if you're the Vice President of the United States or you're a U.S. Senator. You still need to hold your foot to the fire. And unfortunately, we drugged Tim Scott, but we gave the Vice President a pass. And at the end of the day, you spoke the same thing. Now, he may have gone in more depth with his stupidity, his ignorance. And he may have actually went down, because what he did was he started by saying, I understand what it means, but we're not a racist. You know, I understand the things to be discriminated against, but we're not a racist country. You cannot do an oxymoron. You can't be oxymoronic and actually do that in the same tone. You also can't put out an op-ed piece a couple of years ago talking about what happened to you and how you've been pulled over and everything else, and then turn around and say it's not racist. But then you cannot be the vice president of the United States of America and then and fight back and say it was not racist. But then you went after the same person who is the president on a debate stage and talked about busing, and you talked about how he would, you know, because we don't forget those kind of things. So you can't go out here and say those kind of things and think that black people aren't remembering and listening. You can't do that. And so I get where, you know, I understand, you know, that she used that verbiage that we can't forget about the history. But let's also be very clear. She said the same exact thing that the black Republican said. And if we're going to get him, we got to get her too and say, listen, you were out of order and out of pocket as well. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you're not saying that what this country was built upon was racist, because it was built on racism. You can't say anything else. This country was built upon it. So there's nothing else you can actually say. And so that, I knock her and I knock him.
You know, it's a huge difference in the whole context. It's one thing to get in front of America and make the statement that America is not racist, to tear down the concept of racism and minimize the experience that every minority who has experienced racism has, as Senator Tim Scott did. And something else, when you are asked the question and baited by the media, because that they know the consequence of what you're going to say. Had Kamala Harris said America was racist, it would have been political, detrimental, and probably political suicide, in the same way that it was for Michelle Obama. I am so tired of hearing people talk about Michelle Obama's lack of patriotism because she called America racist. So that she knew that, Kamala knew that. But in addition, she came back and she qualified the statement. She explained what she meant, and she gave qualifying statements to me that completely make what she said and what Senator Tim Scott said very, very different. But that is just my opinion.
You, as the vice president of the United States of America, cannot come back and say the same exact thing. I don't care if you went back and tried to justify. You opened up your mouth and said this country is not racist. Unfortunately, after everything after that is voided. It just doesn't make sense, because what happens is you lose people. Words matter. And just like Vince was saying earlier, to the average individual, you can't play politics with black people. Black people don't play politics. So so people hear what you say first. So everything that comes out of your mouth, that's what they hear, and you shut down. So it's like you said the same exact thing. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and give you a pass just because you did the thing, because you made it, you packaged it up, if you will, so that because you know how to play politics. I'm sorry, I don't give a pass. And so though I don't give a pass.
Let me read her comment, DeAndre, for people who may not have seen it. Her comment was, no, I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country and its existence today. I applaud the president for always having the ability and the courage, frankly, to speak about, to speak the truth about it.
I have a question, Zach.
To one black person, that's you, and people who think like you, she may not get a vote, but she's gonna always have my vote. I'll vote tomorrow, and my brother, I am just as black as you.
Okay, I have a question, Zach. You said that if Kamala Harris would have said that America is not racist or is racist, it would have been politically incorrect. Is that what you said?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking.
I said wrong.
So can you repeat what you said then?
What I said was it would be politically detrimental to her, because it will be used over and over in sound bites by conservatives and Republicans to paint her in a very negative light. And here's the thing. I get that people on this live are saying that black people are disappointed. I get that. But black people, there's a whole body of black people out here who never supported Kamala Harris, who are still saying that she's not black enough. So you're not going to support her anyway. In addition to that, there's a whole group of black people that are committed to tearing her down because she is of mixed race ancestry or because she's a woman. So people aren't going to support her no matter what, for some people. I looked critically at what she said, and I thought about the political context of the statement. Again, she didn't get up and give a prepared speech where she said America wasn't racist. She was baited and asked a question, and she gave a politically correct answer because she has to think about the big picture. We will profit nothing, in my opinion, to not have a black woman as vice president of the United States of America. When Donald Trump said much worse things that were highly offensive, what did we say then? When Mike Pence has said many things that were much worse, what did we benefit then? What did we say then? But when Kamala Harris says it right behind Tim Scott and President Biden, we want to lose our minds and tear her down. I am not at that point. There may be something that she will do that will take me there, but this most certainly is not it.
The people ties that, and that's just the bottom line of the situation. That definitely ties into the previous topic. At the end of the day, if the black community feels that there has been a lack of momentum and effort towards whatever quote unquote agenda we're wanting to solidify and establish, and then you have the VP and the president playing in this gray area. I know one of our watchers just said, we don't have time to live in the gray. I just feel like what they did, how they just sort of responded was a temporary Band-Aid, if you will. I feel like the Biden-Harris campaign is definitely now swerving into that centrist mode and just, playing both sides. If this is their effort of wanting to be bipartisan, wanting to unify, I think this is the wrong avenue to try to reach across the aisle because, and I stand by this. I'm sorry, my opinion is not changing. I am just sick of hearing how essential our community is to these political parties and get shattered on. And that is the reality of the situation, regardless of how invested and educated you are into politics or what have you. This is what's happening right now. And this is how people feel. And they need to do a damn good job with rectifying or passing or working out whatever they need to do in order to combat what just happened last week, because it's I'm very sour about it. Tell
me this. We as black people in this country make up 13% of the population. In some places, we are a larger part of the population, like in Georgia. So our opinion has a greater impact as a whole. But the reality is, no politician can just simply pander and cater to the black community. No matter what the talking heads that are black say, no matter what they say on Black Twitter, no matter what they say on the black talk shows, you can't do it and win elections. We are not big enough as a population to drive the full results of this nation. Every single voter matters. You have to be politically savvy in how you approach it.
Hold on, I hear what you're saying, and that is very factual. We may not be big enough, we may not be the majority, but we damn near essential enough for them to get their asses into the positions, or their asses wouldn't be down in these cities, in these metropolitan cities, in these democratic states and stuff like that, if we weren't that vital. So at the end of the day, if we aren't that essential in their eyes, then don't bring your ass to Atlanta no more, and we're going to see what the end going to be. Because I tell you this, I was about to say another word. Black folk, we already know we ain't siding with the GOP because of the shit show they already done did for the past 4 years. And if these mofos acting the way they acting right now consistently, and y'all talking about the black turnout once upon a time was low in voting, you think we ain't about to renege on that and go back to that and not give no F's about it? Because black folk already feel that y'all don't care about us anyway. So I was already there. You pushed me to get my ass out and vote for you, and then now you want to put us back in this gray space? Ain't nobody got time for that. Come on now.
Here's the thing, and that's a good point. Clearly they can. South Carolina primary. Clearly they can't because of the fact that Jamie Harrison isn't the senator. It's Lindsey Graham and all of the horrible racist things that he said and done. South Carolina has a large black population just like Georgia, but look at what happened in South Carolina compared to what happened in Georgia. So when you think that because the Democratic Party of South Carolina gave a whole lot of power to Jamie Harrison, and they really pushed him in his agenda, and the opposite response was he didn't win election. You have to be balanced in your approach, and you have to think about the full body majority of your constituency that make up your party in order to move forward. And I get that we want to give a lot of credit to Black people in Georgia, and I give them credit too. But we also have to give credit to the white Republicans who switched over and voted against Trump that may not be with us next time. And we have to give credit to the white female voters who are also in the party that also came out in groves. Look at the demographics of Georgia and who voted for Biden and who voted for Warnock and who voted for Ossoff before we think it's only all about us. And with that being said, in regards to it being all about us, yes.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Now, this is actually the point that I wanted to make before we went down this rabbit hole. When they say that America, this is Tim Scott and Biden and Harris. When they say that America is not racist, then what is it? They can never say what it is. You automatically want to say America is not racist, but we gotta, we can't forsake and negate the history.
Good question.
We want to say what it is, because just like Dr. Maya Angelou said, if somebody show you who they are, believe them. America has showed us who it is for decades, on centuries, on decades, and we are believing that it is racist. But if you're saying that it is not racist, then you tell me, what is it? Because it's damn sure not unified, or y'all like to put that unified, color and card out there when it's convenient for y'all. When we got a 9/11, then we want to come together. But outside of that, what is it? I'll wait.
What did Vice President Harris say it was again, Darius? I forget. What did she say?
What did she say? What was?
You gave the actual full quote of her statement. So what did she say?
Sure. Again, she said, no, I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country and its existence today. I applaud the president for always having the ability and the courage, frankly, to speak the truth about it.
So, I think she kind of said what it was. Mama, my mama might be racist. You say you racist, Mama. I'm not racist. I
think what she just said what she said was I think what your mama said is, so fine. We are a little racist. So there's levels to our racism.
Not me.
Well, that's what she said. So she said America is not racist, but we have to acknowledge the existent racism that's going on. That's what she said?
That's
pretty much America is
not racist, but we need
America is not racist. America is not racist.
But we need to acknowledge the existence.
Racism exists in America, but America is not racist.
That is no.
Okay. Because the 3/5 compromise and slavery and all the other things.
That's the history that she points to.
Yeah. Because that was America, though. That was
that America?
The history that she's pointing to is the things that we're going through now.
But is that America, or are all of us America?
We didn't create America. We didn't sign the Constitution. We didn't sign that. We don't have not their signature on that Constitution. We were actually, when they said all men were created equal, but yet
we're not America.
That is America, because we're talking about the country that's the system we're built upon. Because it's kind of like you can't.
But are we America, DeAndre? Is what I'm asking. Are we America? Or is this America and we're just here?
I mean, we're in America.
We're in America.
Okay, so can we not acknowledge that that racism exists and is deeply ingrained into the history of America, but that all of America is not racist?
We can say the people in America is not racist, but the system known as America is racist.
I say it's the opposite. I say that there are people in America who are racist, but the system
that was created, the system is racist.
The system is racist.
So that's what I'm saying. The system knows America is racist, but maybe the people in it, but that system
people make the system.
America. Until we change the system, we'll still be a racist system in a racist country.
First and foremost, America doesn't exist. It's a geographic location called the United States of America. So, but moving on, because we're gonna forever be on this point and still not be agreeing. And some people obviously see it. I don't see it like you see it, and that's okay. And you're right. I'm gonna keep on carrying her water because I love her. And while I'm carrying Kamala's water, maybe you're gonna be carrying this water. It's the Water Boys water. Vince, give us and tell us about these Water Boys and the what's being possibly said and recommended regarding them and their impact on the city of Atlanta.
Yes, so the Water Boys is probably the newest addition to Atlanta culture. When they first started out, I thought it was like, oh, they took lemonade stands to a whole nother level. Then as the years progressed, they harassing and just getting real aggressive out in these streets. In the report that I read, I was pretty astonished that a lot of them, have been making like $600 to $800 a day or a weekend or whatever that was, selling water, if you will. But all in all, I think any of us that have witnessed just how they interact with us as we're on the streets, it's very dangerous. And so with that said, the APD is considering, issuing citations out to the parents of the water boys. And apparently a year or some odd time ago, well, not too long ago, rather, they did make it like unlawful or something, like they're not allowed to sell water. But I don't think they've been policing it that well because, of course, we see them just all around the metropolitan area. So, yeah, again, a lot of us in Atlanta, we see this on day-to-day, especially if you live in the summer, going downtown, Northside Drive. When I left the stadium, when I was working at the stadium before the pandemic hit, I know they made a good $12 off of me. Summer 2018. So I just thought it was a good conversation.
I will say this. So just about 3 weeks ago, I was in Atlantic Station and I seen actually some of the water boys actually getting reprimanded by the police. I don't know if they got arrested or not, but they literally made a U-turn and went back to the guys because I think they were harassing some people in the car. I mean, you're saying they're making $600 to $800. I would think they would too, as aggressive as they are when they come to your car. It's like they're literally pounding on windows. I've seen them do some really aggressive things to sell this water. It's not even safe sometimes. I feel like they might try to fight you if you don't buy water from them, honestly.
It's a really complicated issue. If you guys, I was doing some research around the issue in preparation for the topic, and I saw there was a number of instances where there have been violent responses from the water boys, possibly even a murder. There also have been situations where the boys themselves have been harmed or even killed in this. It is a huge citywide issue that is undergirded by a number of factors like poverty, like lack of opportunity, like lack of education or education enforcement. Because again, we can't forget the fact these kids should be in school, especially if they're out during the day. So it's a complicated issue. What, gentlemen, do you guys recommend can be done to fix it?
They need to put some kind of laws around it for me personally. I also think that if they're going to do it, let there be some kind of stipulations in play or whatever. Because I've even seen kids that like had to be 6 or 7, 8 years old out there in the street running around, passing out these waters. And where are the parents at when this is even going on, to be honest with you? So there has to be some kind of laws in place for this. Because one of these kids, like you said, may have got hurt because maybe they got aggressive with the wrong person. And the wrong person didn't really care what the consequences were. And they, harmed them or whatever because they felt attacked. So I think to save people and to not, let it go to that level, there should be some kind of laws in place. I don't know what that law would be, but, if they're going to do it right and do it safe.
Well, CJ, I know you asked where the parents are. They're at work. And that's number one. That's the number one thing. They're at work trying to take care of their kids. And then also these kids are trying to be proactive and trying to have money. If they had money in their houses, then they wouldn't be in the streets selling water all day. That's for sure. So I don't think that the answer for trying to mitigate your situational poverty is to tack on ordinances that end up, transferring to fines against parents for their children being out there. I don't think that is an answer. However, one thing that Mr. Hill said tonight, the first thing that I agree with is that there does need to be an evaluation of minimum wage and some of the other factors that go into these children being out there. Perhaps if they had after school programs or if they had other ways to make money. I know with President Barack Obama, we had the Workforce Investment Act, and they actually put us to work so that we could make extra money. So there are a number of things that can be done before you get to the point that these boys even feel the need to be out there selling water. But if we continue to try to, tear them down in their effort to try to make money instead of giving them a way to actually make money, then we're only going to be doing all we're going to be doing is chasing our tail.
I mean, I agree with you and disagree kind of. I do feel like some of the parents probably are at home, but I also feel like some of these kids, we're in a different age now of time. And I feel like some of these kids just probably want money so they can do things.
Who doesn't want money to live?
I mean, it doesn't, right? But if you're at an age, when
what's say?
First of all, if you're not even old enough to work, first of all, what do you need money for? If you're not even at an age to actually get a real job.
So so children don't need money.
I'm not saying that they don't, but what I'm saying is, do they need to do it to where they're being aggressive with people and forcing people?
I disagree with the aggression 100%, but I don't think that. No, I'm saying I disagree with them being aggressive because I know you get in your feelings and you don't hear people when you get in your feelings. I disagree with the water boys being aggressive. I do not think that they should be aggressive to make sales. However, there are systemic issues in play that create a system or create a need for them to go out and make extra money for themselves and for their families. And so if we want to, we could, they could be doing things that aren't as out in the open, like selling drugs to make money, which is what a lot of people resort to. So instead of demonizing them or making it so that they can't sell water, we need to figure out how we can support them on the front end so they don't need to do this on the back end.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, Darius. I actually was hoping that they would sort of gauge this situation from a community aspect, maybe involving the YMCAs, involving Boys and Girls Clubs, and involving, Killer Mike and all of those political leaders.
Didn't Mayor Biden say that they had plans to do something like that? Whatever became of that?
I believe so. So I think that there are some influential people that can definitely assist in the professionalism of it all, if you will. Because I think right now they just need guidance and they need safeguards. Because, of course, we want to be safe and protected as driving, and then I would want them to be protected because I've seen some close calls with, cars, especially a lot of them have sort of migrated to the Lenox area. And, that street, whatever, Piedmont, Peachtree, whatever that road is right in front of Lenox can be like crazy packed, crazy busy sometimes. And they're just like waltzing in the middle of the street. And I don't want them to get ran over, So I think there are some safety things that they definitely need to consider, to initiate, as well as, again, having a community perspective, get these guys in, training them in a professional way, and hopefully that'll sort of rectify the issue.
Yeah,
also, I will say, to your point about the aggression, my best friend was robbed by some of those children that were out there. Another thing, I never let down my window for anyone. That's just a personal safety precaution that I take. And so I'm not one of the people who are helping to fuel the economy in that way. I choose to give back in other ways to to people who I know, because I know that for us, for my family, if we were to go on a field trip or if we were to do something that costs a lot of money, we were going to fundraise. And so if that meant selling cookie dough, selling donuts, selling Pizza Hut cards, we done sold it all. And so I understand where those children are coming from. And I understand how it can be a financial strain, especially for parents who have multiple children, probably in a single parent household. They probably are working 2 or 3 jobs, whatever it is that they have to do. And so I feel like we cannot wait on the city to do something to help these boys out. But at the same time, it's like it's a sticky situation because you don't want them engaging in illegal or doing things that are aggressive behaviors. But at the same time, you do realize there is a need, and that need needs to be met.
And I do believe that we can continue to do something because of the fact there could be a program or something. We have a lot of people who are trying to get back into society because, people can't, get these jobs right now. Especially, I do feel like they need an adult. So what if there was a program where these people who actually are looking to get back to society, there's a program that actually became their supervisors, and they went through trainings, and they actually were the adults that actually went out with them, and they were also put in certain places, because as Vince was saying, I do think that there are certain places that these young brothers should not necessarily be out, because there are some danger, and there's certain, not only just certain places, but there's certain times, because traffic in certain areas are really bad during certain times. And so I'm more so, yes, they are aggressive, but I'm also more concerned about the danger of these young men, because these are also young men who are out there. And even though they may be in rough and things, you never know who may be having a bad day when they go up to their car. And if they go to the wrong car, that person might actually just shoot them just because they had a bad day. And so there are people who are out there who are just as bad. So I do think there should be something in place where there is an adult out there who can actually be there for them and with them, because that also will help continue their process. Because again, there needs to be something to help these young men. I don't see a problem at all. I do think I think it is commendable. I think it is commendable that they're looking to try to do something and they want to do something. They want to do it on their own. I just ran into a couple this weekend. I was out this weekend and I didn't buy anything from them. I just gave them a couple of dollars. I said, look, bro, I'm good, but here's a couple of dollars. I don't need them, just a couple. So I don't see a problem with it. But as we said, we need to just find something to do to make sure that we have some people to protect them and also people to protect the people that they're also trying to serve.
That's what I do. I think I've talked to you guys about my personal rule around charity. So when I'm asked, I do give. I keep dollars to give. But I don't drink the water. And so I'm just not wanting, I know every water boy isn't like this, but I did see with my own two eyes on the corner of Adamsville, MLK, when I was going to my spin class, the boys collecting empty water bottles to refill with water. So I never drink the water or buy the water or take the water, but I always give and donate. And I try to give what God lays on my heart to give to the boys, because I really do empathize. And I really feel as though that is a part of what I can do as a contribution that I cannot make.
And Zach, I just want to say,
when you read back through these comments and what Meechan has said, he really has said some very good points in this part of tonight's live cast regarding the nature of wages and living wages, and how our parents are working full-time jobs, multiple jobs at a piss poor minimum wage, and it's not a livable wage. And many of these parents do need their children to help supplement their income to pay basic bills. Rent in Atlanta is sky high, and the fake notion of affordable housing and mixed-use communities is garbage. Atlanta is gentrifying at an unbelievable rate, and it's absolutely not fair to the people that made this city and make this city what it is. And that's the real issue, and we can't ignore it. In addition to that, I want to say, Councilman Antonio Brown has made this one of his major campaign issues. And yes, there has been work done around providing entrepreneurship for these young men, but like as an educator, sometimes we know it's not very easy to work with all children for a lot of different reasons. And some of the, and I'll leave it at that in terms of what has been happening and what that progress has been. Dr. Pickett.
No, I was just going to simply say, because I'm kind of where Darius just went with that for 2 seconds. But I want to correct something that Terrence did say, where he said the city has already failed them. I disagree with that. The city did not fail them. I believe the mayor failed them, and that's in this, because the city has actually tried to make moves. It's been the mayor who's been the holdup. So I'll give a pushback to that. I'm not going to say the city has made, because actually the city has actually done some pretty good things when Shirley Franklin was mayor, when Bill Cameron was mayor, even when Kasim Reed was mayor. When she came in, she actually kind of knocked down some things. So she had so much issues going on in her administration that she couldn't focus on things, and she was too busy trying to be, big time. And so I don't think the city failed, because the city council actually put a couple of ordinances or put some things in place, including Antonio Brown, but they put some things in place, and even the current person who's running against her tried to help fight that, but the mayor pushed back. So again, I don't think the city failed her, but the mayor did.
I don't want to scam, and I think that Mayor Bottom's job is a big time job. However, my concern or my question is, what's the status of the building that was supposed to be repurposed for a youth center of sorts, or is that something that's still happening?
Hold on, real quick, please. Y'all about to give Zach a whole heart attack. Y'all know about 5 people done came for Keisha in 20 seconds. So Zach is about to go in on everybody's ass.
The connection is coming.
You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that.
It's about that.
You can't argue with that. You can argue. You can talk to your blue.
Just so that money back from the Range Rover to the kids, so they can start selling water.
Yeah.
Valerie has said it multiple times. She said some good points in here also, but I am okay. This is the thing. You know what? I stand up for excellent Black women, and Keisha Lance Bottoms of the southwest part of Atlanta, graduate of Frederick Douglass High School, is absolutely one of those people. So you can say what you want, you can say what you will. It will not diminish that North Star in my eyes. But I will tell you who has been diminished in my eyes, and it is this lovely young lady here, Janet Mock. Darius, tell us what Janet Mock did.
Well, child, see what had happened was, these people have been trying to tell you. These people in the entertainment industry have been trying to tell y'all. Anyway, Janet Mock is a writer, director, and producer on Pose. She is the first trans woman of color. Well, I'll say the first openly trans woman of color hired as a writer for a TV series in history. And at the premiere party for Pose, which aired its third season starting last night, Janet Mock had what has been characterized as a fiery speech that lasted for 15 minutes. During this speech, she admitted to infidelity in her relationship. And she says, F Hollywood. And she hoped that it made everyone uncomfortable, because she was making $40,000 an episode when she had been so instrumental in the show's success. She could not fathom why she would be making, I guess, what is considered so little. I'm not sure what is customary for people to make in this role. However, I know that she said that she was responsible for bringing the trans girls onto the show. She only $40K for the season. I thought she said per episode.
No, per episode.
It was per episode, right? It was per episode. She said that she was angry and she was demanding more money and equal perks to the other TV executives. She said, F Hollywood, does this make you uncomfortable? It should. It should make you effing shake your mother effing boots. This is speaking truth. This is what Pose is. Who brought the girls in? I did. I wanted the girls to be there.
She also said, who the F am I? Do you know who the F I am?
And so she went on. And for me, this sounded very familiar to what we've heard from a lot of Black women in the TV industry. We've heard Nene Leakes make these same, remarks about the money. We've heard Mariah Huck make the same types of remarks about the money. And we know nationally, we know that women are underpaid. When you add the Black woman, that's another level of being a little more underpaid. And so I'm sure when you add in trans, that's even a more underpaid. And so my question for today is, how do we feel about this one being her speech at the premiere? Number two, what do we think about her making this stance? And do we think that it may be valid?
I think the stance is valid because obviously we have seen too many Black women, like you mentioned, Nene Leakes, Monique. I made a whole issue with the whole Netflix deal with Amy Schumer. So I think her point is valid. Obviously, there's something going on, in Hollywood that I don't know. And maybe, I don't know if you guys know. Do I think she should have said it at that moment? No, because they were celebrating the time of the premiere of Pose, which has been a phenomenal show and it's opened up a lot of people's eyes. And I'm actually sad to see that the show is this season finale. But I don't think she should have said it at the premiere. I think at that point it was the time to just enjoy the premiere. She could do that another time. But I do think there's something going on with women in Hollywood and why they're not getting paid the way they're supposed to be getting paid.
See, I'm all about controversy. What better time than at a place that we're celebrating such a great work than to bring up the pay disparity and say, y'all are so excited. Y'all want to throw a party for this shit. Y'all ready for it to show on Sunday, all of that. But y'all want to do everything for this show except for pay me what I want.
Controversy is good, but I mean, you said it. You're celebrating something that's good and monumental. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, the controversy is good. But, again, you're celebrating the premiere of a great show. Maybe she could. I don't know. I just don't think she should have at that moment. Maybe another time.
And I will say this is Pose. They've announced that this is their last season. So this is in the Pose. And I think that a lot of times, even with even going back to Nene, people say, well, you accepted that for so long, but at what point do we expect to get what we deserve? And I think that a lot of times Black women face this where they end up being labeled as hard to work with Whereas with white men, they wouldn't have to be deemed hard to work with because they would eventually become the boss. And then they would be hard to work for. So that would be a flip in the narrative. And so we get into this space where Black women aren't awarded with the things that they deserve. And then we get mad when they feel like, you know, I'm Nene Leakes. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with Claudia Jordan. Who is that? I'm not going to argue with her. So I'm going to walk off the set. And now I'm hard to work with. But I've done this for so long. I feel like I shouldn't have to do this to retain my spot in this space. And so I feel that we all have to do a better job of when things like this happen, rather than being so quick to jump on that they're hard to work with train. We have to uplift these women and make sure that they know that even though we may not be coming from the same, we may not be oppressed in the same ways that they are, or to the same extent that they are, that we can empathize with them and we'll speak up for them when we see something that's wrong. And I don't believe that. Oh God, I'm sorry. Absolutely nowhere. And we've had this conversation earlier this season.
One thing that was said, Zach said, is that liquid courage. I don't know if it was liquid courage or if it was white powder courage, the same kind of white powder that Wendy Williams took to lose weight. We're going to talk about her in a moment.
But I will say, to Darius' point, I think what also has to happen is that when women are actually fighting for that right, you have to keep that united front. You can't have some women taking the bait and then some women still trying to fight the fight, right? You can't have some, you got to make sure that if you're going to be standing, you're going to be standing, for us, right? You can't be downplaying or downing women because they're trying to speak their truth. And you're saying, well, you got some women who are going along to get along, right? So you have to, if you're going to stand the ground, you're going to fight, all women have to stand with her. And so I've seen some women who, again, some people may say, okay, Monique. Okay, some people have had issues with Monique, but at the end of the day, Monique is doing the same thing that she is doing. So what makes that any different? Monique knew her value. So we have to make sure we're supporting all women on all their issues. We can't pick and choose what woman we're going to stand behind when they're trying to fight for their rights. So we have to make sure at the end of the day, if we're going to fight with her, if we're going to stand with her. If we're going to fight with Nene, we're going to stand with Nene. If we're going to fight with Monique, we're going to fight with Monique, because every woman deserves it. You can't.
If we're going to fight with Keisha, we're going to stand with Keisha.
But boy,
I
will fight with Keisha. I will fight with
what she needs to be. Now we need her to do.
Fight for her. I will fight for Keisha when Keisha gives me something to want to fight for her, until she becomes, while she's still absent. Because again, while you're absent and your people are suffering, I can't fight with you. But I'm going to stand with you when you're actually doing something right and you're making sure that I can't stand with you when you're not even fighting for yourself. I can't stand with you when you're not fighting for yourself.
And the fight for Keisha was to get her in the mayoral seat, Zach. So this is a little different.
And she got there. And we voted for her because her name was
Keisha. Y'all got into that seat because I'm not Atlanta resident.
and guess who got her in that seat? Guess who got her in that seat? It's the very people who she's also shining on. So let's just be very clear. So again, I'm about standing with people who are fighting for themselves and speaking up for themselves. That we can't pick and choose when we're going to fight for people who are going to stick up for themselves. And that's what we have to make sure at the end of the day, we have all, we want to make sure we support all women when they're speaking up for them. That's all I'm saying about that.
So, we got explaining here what diversity hire is for you, Zach. That's right. Speak, Dr. Pickett. We did. Keisha is not present to help her fight, as some people, as what Dr. Pickett did say. So he agrees with you there, Valerie. And the tops and the bottoms of Atlanta. I don't know what that means or what that represents. Not just blacks, but the gays in Atlanta have voted for her too. Speak, Doctor. And Keisha is not in the ATL to fight. I think that she is, but I understand that most of you don't agree. Cheating on a partner with someone on the show that caused a message to get lost, and I think that happened as well. One Twitter user said this: if you could read, Darius, you do such a great job of Twitter reading for us. If you could read this tweet for us here, my friend.
I am the resident reader. If Janet Mock was making only $40K per episode as an executive producer and director on Pose, how much was the cast earning? Now that's a damn good question. That is a good question.
So it's a deep issue, possibly in regards to how they are choosing to pay this cast.
And you know what? A lot of times people just be happy to have that opportunity, you know, and so we accept less than we're worth, and then something grows out of it, but the compensation does not grow like it's supposed to. So we definitely
think one of the cast members actually
we're exploiting the talent, because that's what it is at this point. It's exploitation. Because I know this is a very highly popular show. They've been greenlit for 3 seasons. I know they're planning to end it at the end of this season. I wonder how much of that has to do with the compensation and not feeling.
It was highly popular. It's a niche program. The ratings for the show hasn't been great. So the show hasn't been as well rated as some of the other FX series. It hasn't done as well in the ratings, and they had to fight really hard to have a season 2, and then they were fighting to have a season 3. So the show hasn't done well in the ratings for FX.
Oh, that's shocking.
Yeah, just because there's a community who may watch it, it doesn't make it popular, and that's exactly what I talked about.
That's very true. Very true.
So when you go from there, though, we did talk a little bit about the possibility of, you know, was Janet Mock on a substance? I don't know. But what I do believe is that typically this young lady is on a substance. Her name is Wendy Williams. And Wendy Williams recently had on her show Joseline Hernandez, and they got into somewhat of an altercation. CJ, this is your story for the week. Tell us about it.
So Joseline Hernandez was a special guest for the day on the Wendy Williams Show. And as soon as Joseline got on the show, within 10 seconds, she just immediately went in on Wendy, pretty much saying that Wendy tears down girls like her. And I think she was referring to like the girls, like reality TV girls. She went to say that Wendy Williams needs to give her flowers because she doesn't feel like Wendy Williams gives her the respect that she deserves, that she's been working for over a decade, and she has the #1 show in the world when it's really the #1 show on Zeus. And she also feels like Wendy Williams compares her to other girls and doesn't put her in her own lane. It also came out within the interview that Joseline was already aggressive with the producer when they called Joseline on the phone, I guess, to get everything set up for the interview. So I just brought this up. So I just want to know, what was your thoughts? You know, I want to get you guys' thoughts. Do you think that Joseline was really just trying to get more attention? Do you think she really felt some type of way? Or do you feel like she just wanted to make it hot? You know, like, what was your thoughts?
I think Wendy was being Wendy and Joseline was being Joseline, and what happened. We know that if you're going on the Wendy Williams Show, don't go there expecting flowers, child. Like, who does that? Like, that's like going to Chick-fil-A looking for a hamburger. So, and you know, Zach, I know you don't eat at Chick-fil-A, and I'm publicly boycotting it.
And nor do I watch Wendy Williams.
Nor do you watch Wendy Williams. So anyway, Joseline was definitely being who she is. She's been known for this, for going off on producers on her own show, for calling Mona everything but a child of God, for, you know, getting what was the other girls? What's the other the journalist girl? Like, Joseline is known for having these types of interactions with interviewers.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And so it was good to see. I mean, Wendy can hold her own.
Nina Parker.
Yes, Nina Parker. Wendy's been doing this for a long time. Joseline has been doing this for a long time. She knows what she's doing. Was there some validity to what Joseline was saying? Absolutely. Like, it would be nice to see Wendy giving the girls their flowers. However, this is the Wendy Williams Show. Like, you knew that when you were coming on to Wendy Williams Show, what the Wendy Williams experience is. So if you don't like the way that Wendy Williams runs her show, don't go on Wendy Williams.
And that's not her first time on the Wendy Williams Show. That's the sad
thing. And Wendy's been on for 10 plus seasons at this point. Like, we know exactly what Wendy is coming to do.
Wendy doesn't talk to the white people like that? Okay.
Wendy is messy with everybody. I watched the interview of her and Bellamy Young, who was Melly on Scandal, and she was equally messy.
Yeah. I feel like she feels safe for everybody.
The idea that she only does this with black women is a myth. I also watched her do it to Yaz, trying to drag him out or learn about his girlfriend, who was in the audience when we were visiting her that day. So it's something that Wendy does across the board. It might not be to your taste or your liking, and that's why there are other channels and other, you know, shows that show like The View and things like that that might be more your speed, Zach. Maybe you would prefer to see Meghan McCain act the fool than to see Wendy act the fool. So do that.
Yeah, she does act the fool in her own way.
Every day at 11 o'clock, I'm going to watch The View and Meghan over Wendy Williams, because what I don't see on The View is a constant attack against Black celebrity in the way that's what Wendy Williams preys on. Instead of building and uplifting her community, she wants to constantly tear it down and build up mess. That's what she does. That's her brand. It's made her money.
She tears down everybody who's in the public eye.
Destroy the Black community.
She tears down anybody that's trending.
I think she has a platform and she asks the questions that we as viewers want to know the answers to. If that's not the questions that you want to know, then maybe you're not the viewership that she's looking for.
No, I don't want to know.
You don't think Meghan McCain has said things out of pocket?
No one is defending Meghan McCain, CJ. What I said was I would much rather watch Meghan McCain on The View. This is not about preferring Meghan McCain over Wendy Williams. It's about the fact that I'm not going to watch Wendy Williams.
So for me, I sort of looked at it from another perspective in regards to Joseline. I know we talked about Nene earlier. A lot of these reality stars that, started off, from the ground and just built their way on up in terms of, building brands and starting their own shows and going their own routes and ultimately leaving the shows that they are known for. Like, do we feel as a community that they are worthy of their flowers? Like, do we feel that they belong, or should we hold them in a higher regard now that growth, I guess you can say, air quotes, has taken place on their behalves, if you will? And it just made me look at it like that, because even though I know Joseline does sort of, she's always with that rhetoric and with that banter, I felt that she was coming from a genuine place, though. And so I was looking at it like, well, wow, do we continue to look at her in the same optics from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 1 versus has she grown and does she deserve these things, or do we continue to hold these people in that same regard when we first met them and never allow them to grow and give them what they think they deserve?
Here's my thing with that, Vince. Like, it would be a lot easier if this were someone who had built up their career being so nice and kind to everyone and, giving other people their flowers, if you will. But for Joseline to do that, it's definitely the pot calling the kettle black. She has this cabaret show right now, and she's pretty much poking fun at one of her cast members who just had to have an abortion for, whatever circumstances. And so it's hard to go from a clip of Joseline being like, this girl just had an abortion and now she's twerking in my face. I hope her uterus don't fall out, or I hope whatever's left up in there doesn't fall out. It's hard to go from that video of Joseline saying that to her citing Wendy for doing the same thing, which is, being tough on or hard on the people that, you're talking to or working with in that moment. And so I think that we celebrate reality stars by tuning in. Double homicide, damn. I think we celebrate reality stars by tuning into their shows. And I think that Joseline has done a very good job of remaining relevant. She's been able to get another show, albeit on Zeus. It still is doing very well. And then she got from Zeus, and now it's being shown on WeTV. It's showing on television now. And so it is hard, to say that we're not celebrating them. But also you're not like a nun, and it's not like we're like, going to be okay, Terrence, okay. But it's not like, we're going to be like, oh, like la 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 la. Like, no, you're a rough person. So the conversations that you're having are going to be rough sometimes.
But my question is, I guess the question I have is, like, when you think about, Joseline, what shows outside of Wendy Williams are you genuinely going to see Joseline being interviewed on? Generally, what show? So, like, maybe, at the end of the day, and this is kind of to the point of, people value a Wendy. This is kind of going back, Zach, to telling you, people, there are certain people who understand that I have to go to a Wendy because that's where my validation comes from. Because, there's people like a View that won't give me the time, like a Tara Mahal, they won't give me the time. It's like some of these other places won't give me the time. So maybe I gotta go to the watchers who watch Wendy Williams, because at the end of the day, that's the audience that's actually gonna pay attention to me. So that's why they go back. And so maybe to look at, if some of these other people were not so elitist and actually opened up their platform, then maybe she would feel more comfortable. So maybe this is the only avenue that she could actually go to. So I don't know. We want to say that Wendy Williams exploits and everything else, but maybe Wendy Williams also provides a platform for the underdog because other individuals won't speak to them.
And that's why they go. And that's why they go. So they understand it's a double-edged sword. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to hold my own when I go on Wendy's show. But Wendy, The Breakfast Club, The Real, Eat Tonight, ET, or whatever it is, there are a number of shows. But like, for instance, Zach is a person who would watch The View. Zach would not be watching Joseline Hernandez Cabaret. So if The View has viewers like Zach and The Real has viewers like CJ, then what sense would it make for Joseline to go to The View when he's going to be getting his fan base seen at, The Real? So it's just one of those. It's like you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. But at the same time, Wendy Williams does use her platform to promote their products. The conversations might not be the best or in the greatest light that they would like, but that is what Wendy Williams viewers tune in to see. And at the same time, you get to put your show, promote whatever your product is in front of the world. So it is what it is. If you don't like it, don't go. But it's her platform.
Zach, I forgot about the talk. My bad. I forgot about them.
Being exploited, the other will to sell their integrity for the spotlight. And Meechin, you have a lot of opinions. I'm glad that you feel empowered to share them. Continue to do so. And then again, right, I agree with you, Darius. It has been a lively and spirited night with the five guys on live, as I knew it would be. I want to thank everybody for joining us as we prepare for tonight's 365 Black History Moment of the Week. What is it going to be this week?
All right, in honor of this week being National Teacher Appreciation Week, I know we mentioned at the beginning that we were we're going to try to put the spotlight on some of the less known key figures in Black history. But today I thought that we would be remiss if we did not recognize Mary McLeod Bethune. She was the daughter of former slaves, and she felt that her mission to create an avenue for Black people to be educated. And so she started what is now known as Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida. And that started with 5 girls, and it grew to a large university. And that is actually the university that my younger brother attended, as well as his fiance, and their family is related to the Bethune family. And so I thought that it would be great as we think about all of the wonderful teachers in our lives that we want to make sure that we show our love and appreciation for. We make sure that we also highlight key teachers in American history and in African-American Black history. So Mary McLeod Bethune, learn more about her and her journey and everything that she's done to impact not only just education, but Black history as a whole.
And thank you to Darius, and thank you, Zach. I've served in 15 years, but thank you all for the work that you do as educators. People don't understand the hell that we go through and we've been through, but please make sure you tell a teacher, because everybody has been impacted by a teacher. So please tell a teacher that we love you. Thank you for the work you've done. And I know we'll miss it, but happy Mother's Day, because it's coming up on Sunday. So happy Mother's Day on Sunday.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers.
Happy Mother's Day to all.
Vince got some. What?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to go backwards, but I'm a little bothered because I'm trying to put together the conversation or the argument that DeAndre made about supporting all Black women, from the Pose director. We don't talk about Keisha. We don't talk about Nene. Then we get to it. And the thing, I guess, that really struck me about the Wendy and Joseline thing, because Wendy made some comments where she was like, she doesn't feel like she gets her flowers. She doesn't feel that she's supported and affirmed by her community as well. And so it's sort of, that goes back to what DeAndre was saying, like, how do we pick and choose what type of Black woman we're ready to say that they're worthy and valued of. You know, I can't, because we literally just did it in this show in like the past 32 minutes. It's so disappointing. It is.
That's why I started by saying Wendy was being Wendy, Joseline was being Joseline. At the end of the day, everyone is going to, represent their brand and hopefully to the best light that they would like for their brand to be represented. And we just have to accept people for who they are. If you don't like it, then don't watch. But you don't have to tear people down in order to,
Yeah, I agree. We ain't got to tell people down or what have you. But at the same time, I just feel like, and then that even just goes back for me. This entire episode, it all made sense. Like there was a common thread between even the political commentary, if you will, just about the Black agenda, Black unity, Black women being worthy, picking and choosing which Black women we want to see be successful and thrive and feel that their requests are valid and which Black women are not. Like, this is weird. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go pray.
Well, we each get to pick topics, and sometimes topics flow, and sometimes there may be an outlier, and that's how it goes. I don't know if your question, I'll say this, in regards to who I choose to uplift and support, it comes down to who you are and what you do. I firmly feel as though Wendy Williams tears down the Black community, and therefore that makes her someone who I can't uphold. That is my opinion, and that's my choice, and that's how I choose to represent it as I give my opinion on this platform. And with that being said, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. We hope that you have a great week. Again, happy Mother's Day, and God bless you all.
Happy Mother's to all your mothers and everyone else.
Happy Mother's Day.